Hey guys, welcome to my newest video for today. Today's video is going to be my reviews for August 2013. I've got a few things here to talk about. Most of them are Doctor Who related, since that's pretty much what I've been watching or listening to over the past month. And that's probably going to be the way it is from probably for at least until the 50th, because I've now reached the third Doctor story, so yeah, I should be able to get through them a bit more quickly, but I do have some movies and non-Doctor Who related TV shows to talk about, so I will just jump straight in. And yeah, so starting off with the movies, I watched Hot Fuzz. This was before I went to see The World's End. I had actually never seen Hot Fuzz before, but I really, I enjoyed the heck out of it. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and I don't know whether I would like it, say, as much as, like, Shaun of the Dead, but, because I really enjoyed that one as well, but, yeah, I just got a huge kick out of this, but, you know, I love Simon Pegg, so I knew I was going to like it, but, yeah, so I've finally seen Hot Fuzz now, so, yeah, so Hot Fuzz. Then I watched Due Date. You know, it was okay. You know, I wasn't really expecting much from it, but yeah, you know, for what it was, I liked it. I got a few laughs out of it, but yeah, it's basically all I can really say about it. I think the main reason I wanted to see this was because it had Robert Downey Jr. in it, who, again, is one of my favourite actors, but, you know, for what it was, I enjoyed it, got a few laughs out of it, so, you know, fun way to kill a couple of hours, so, yeah, it's Due Date. And then I watched The Avengers again. I just love this movie. It's, you know, I can just randomly put it on whenever I feel like it, and then I still enjoy it just as much as if I was watching it for the first time, so, yeah, I just decided to watch it again. I will probably be watching it when I prepare to go see Thor 2 at the end of, I can actually say next month, because as I'm filming this it's September 1st, so end of next month. And yeah, so even though I probably will at some point watch it again between now and then, because I just love this movie. It's one of my favourites, and yeah, it's The Avengers. So, and then I watched well, I should actually point out, these movies weren't all watched in order, because as I'm about to show you, there was a particular series that I've been watching over the past month, so, but anyway, I'll just talk about the Aristocats. To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen this, because I watched it and nothing seemed familiar, so I don't know if it was just because it was that long ago that I retain nothing of, remembered anything from this, but it was a pretty cute movie, so I did like it. Not one of my favourite Disneys, but you know, it's a kids movie. I love most Disney films, so yeah, so I'm glad that I've finally seen it now. So the Aristocats. And the film series that I've been watching over the past month has been Star Wars. I decided it was time for my yearly rewatch, since it now seems to have become a thing. I watched it when I first got the Blu-ray, and then I watched it again, this was 2011, so September 2011, then when they announced that they were going to be making episodes 7 through 9, I watched the series again, and then I just really felt like watching it, so Yeah, so I think probably from now on it's going to be, you know, once a year I will put on, watch the Star Wars movies, you know, and get value from the money I spent on this box set. But, you know, I love the Star Wars movies. You know, yes, I do enjoy the prequels, but obviously I don't enjoy them as much as the original series. The Phantom Menace was what introduced me to Star Wars. I saw that in the cinema, like when it first came out. That was, what, 99, G99 I think it was, because it was my dad who wanted to go see it, so, and then I, you know, agreed to tag along, because at that point I'd never seen anything to do with Star Wars, and yeah, it sort of got me into the series, as so to speak. And then, you know, I saw obviously Attack of the Clones, and I went to the Revenge of the Sith midnight showing back in 2005. That's been the only midnight showing I've been to, and but yeah, I just love these movies. Empire Strikes Back is still my favourite out of all of them, but, you know, I like each of them in their own way. Yeah, I mean, some of the dialogue, you know, obviously in Attack of the Clones is, you know, not very good, but I just sort of, I just, you know, don't really think about those scenes when I watch it, like, pay attention to it, because, yeah, some of the dialogue is really bad in, I think it's mostly Attack of the Clones. That's when, like, when I first saw it, I didn't really think anything of it, but then later on, as I, you know, rewatched it, and then you just sort of think, you know what, yeah, now I know what everyone's talking about. It is really bad. Like, yeah, the whole, you know, sand conversation and that, but, you know, but I wanted to rewatch the series again, so that's what I did. But yeah, so I probably won't, I don't know when next year I'll watch it, but at some point next year I will be revisiting this, so yeah, so expect that review in another set of yeah, like, I don't know what I'm saying, like in, yeah, sometime next year when I rewatch these, so there we go. But, yeah, so Star Wars, well, it's not really complete anymore, so, Star Wars episodes 1 through 6, so... Okay, now, the movies that I saw at the cinema this month, I saw The World's End, which is why I finally saw Hot Fuzz, because I wanted to watch so that I could, you know, see, be prepared for the final installment in the Cornetto trilogy. And, you know, I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't what I was expecting, but, you know, I still had a fun time. I don't know why I'm doing this. Still had a fun time with it. Martin Freeman was actually in it a lot more than what I thought he would be, because I know he was in Hot Fuzz, but he didn't really have that big a part. Like, he sort of only appeared, like, you know, at the beginning he was sort of in a scene, and then at the end. But this one he had pretty, like a pretty, like, supporting role, so, because that was, again, one of the other reasons why I wanted to see it. But, yeah, but, you know, I liked it, so, World's End. Then I saw Now You See Me, which, again, I liked, you know, for what it was. I mean, you know, it wasn't, you know, it was entertaining, and that's what I can say, except for me, I think when it got to the twist at the end, the guy who was sitting across the road from me, there was, like, you know, when it happened, the twist appeared, and then there was just this shit, like, the guy, yeah, yeah, this guy just suddenly guessed out shit at the reveal, so I thought that was pretty funny. It's like random, but yeah, so I don't think he saw that coming, but to be honest, neither did I, but that might just be because I'm really slow with some things, so, but you know, I liked it. I would probably see it again, so I might be picking it up on Blu-ray when it comes out, but yeah, so that's Now You See Me. Then I saw Elysium. Again, I thought this was, you know, really liked this one. Thought it was a pretty good, you know, sci-fi thriller. I don't know if you'd want to call it that, but yeah, out of what I've seen this month, this probably is my favourite. So yeah, I sort of, I mean, I don't know, I'm really, I just liked it, that's all I can, I know it's not much of a review, but, I guess, like, you know, like the whole contrast, I know there was talk about it being quite political, like, why this film was made, but to be honest, I just thought it was, you know, a good sci-fi, you know, it's the whole, like with the whole, the rich have all left the earth, but the, I guess, illegals are you know, stranded, are still stranded, so, like, with the whole, socio-economic, system, but, you know, I thought Matt Damon was quite good in this, and also Jodie Foster, I did like her role in this as well, so yeah, so Elysium, yeah, definitely out of what I've seen, this is my favourite, I mean, not my favourite, like, out of the year, but this month, this was the one I liked the most, so Elysium. And then the last two I saw on the same day, and that was The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones. I liked it. I mean, I have nothing to compare this to because I have not read the book. I have the book in my collection, but I've been really slacking in the reading part, so I have no idea if it was, you know, how true it was to the book, but I will eventually get round to reading it. But, you know, I liked it, you know, for, like, teen fantasy, yeah, like, it kept me entertained, that's basically, theme, but yeah, like, you know, I liked the characters, I mean, just based on what I saw, in the movie, I thought, you know, the actors did a decent job, so, yeah, this is The Mortal Instruments. And then the last one out of the movies that I saw this month was Red 2, and I enjoyed the heck out of this movie. I mean, I enjoyed the first one, you know, it was a lot of fun, and this one, you know, it's the same thing, it's, like, you know, you don't really go into these type of movies expecting a plot or something, it's just, you're just going for, you know, the crazy shenanigans and, you know, stuff getting blown up and things like that, and, yeah, I liked it. I loved Helen Mirren in this. I thought she was quite awesome in her role, and, yeah, I don't know, I just like the cast, you know, how they interacted in this movie, and, yeah, you know, again, a fun way to spend a couple of hours, so, Red 2. And then non-Doctor Who TV-ness, I watched Rizzoli and Isles, I liked it, but then I thought I would, because, you know, I really enjoy crime shows, and, you know, I've liked pretty much all the ones that I've seen, like, you know, NCIS, Criminal Minds, Castle, those type of shows, and you know, this sort of fit into that, you know, aspect of, like, you know, cop shows. And but I liked the two main characters. The main reason I actually decided to check this show out was because of Sasha Alexander, who played Kate on NCIS, and you know, I wanted to see her in other roles, since until she left the show, Kate was my favourite character at that point. So yeah, so it kept me wanting to come back to, like, you know, as each episode went on. So I've got seasons 2 and 3, so at some point I will be checking those out. So but yeah, that's Rizzoli and Isles season 1. Then I finally watched How I Met Your Mother season 5, because I rewatched seasons 1 to 4 and then I sort of stopped, and then I picked up, like, continued on with season 5, and you know, I actually enjoyed this season. I know I think at the time a lot of people didn't really care for it. I don't know if that opinion is still the same, but I do have to say that I loved the Suit musical number. I thought that was hilarious, and also what was the other one? Oh, like when the episode where Barney's trying to hook up with a different woman each night, and it's got to be the first go, like, you know, he can't get like, if he gets rejected, then the whole thing is over. So that episode was, I thought that was probably one of my favourite episodes for this season, and yeah, and so I'm just trying to but yeah, I liked this season. Probably not my favourite. I still think season 2 is my favourite, but I thought this was pretty good. So I still haven't seen seasons like 6, 7 and 8, but I was hoping to get watch them so I could get caught up for season 9, which is going to be the final season. But with my Doctor Who marathon, I just don't think that's going to happen. So probably in the new year I'll finish out watching How I Met Your Mother, because I do want to, you know, finish watching it. So yeah, it's How I Met Your Mother season 5. Then you saw this in my update, DVD update, NCIS Los Angeles season 4. I watched this, and yeah, this show just keeps getting better and better. And I know I mentioned this in my update, but I honestly never thought I would be in a position where I would say that I prefer this to the original NCIS, because I don't know, it's just sort of shifted completely. Like when I first started checking this show out, I was watching it because of like Hetty. That was the main reason why. And then obviously when Deeks was introduced, and then, you know, the whole Dancy relationship started going, that's what was keeping me going. And then I have suddenly found myself, you know, really enjoying this show, and I'm really looking forward to season 5. I'm actually looking more forward to NCIS Los Angeles season 5 than I am NCIS season 11, which kind of makes me sad in a way, because I used to really dig NCIS, and like when I was catching up on it, like a few years ago, like, and then now it's just sort of coming, like, I mean, it's not so much a chore, just because it's like, you know, used to be in my top 3 favourite shows, and now I don't even know if I would even consider, or like if I was, it would be much further down the, like below the list. I'm not even sure what would be in its place at the moment, but yeah, I rewatched this season, and yeah, definitely can't wait for season 5. So yeah, NCIS Los Angeles season 4. And then the last of the non Doctor Who TV shows, I finally finished season 1 of Pretty Little Liars. I initially started this back in March, and then it's taken me this long to finally catch up, finish it. Not because it was bad, it's just I got distracted with other shows and that, so I wanted to finish this season because just so I could mark it off that it's finished. So, but yeah, you know, I've actually been enjoying what I've been seeing of this show, so I do want to watch the other seasons and yeah, continue on with the show. So, but yeah, so that's Pretty Little Liars season 1. Okay, now we get into the Doctor Who reviews. I've just, because a lot of these were like missing episodes, and so basically, again, like I've mentioned in my other ones, for the missing episodes, if a surviving episode exists, and basically what I would do is listen to the complete story, and then I would watch the episode that still exists. So yeah, so I've got a huge stack here to just quickly go through. So we have the Macra Terror, which is Second Doctor Ben, Polly and Jamie. You know, I mean, it's not a favourite, but I still enjoy the story, because of course the Macra came back in the episode Gridlock, but I thought this was like, you know, a story about mind control and that I did actually quite like how the story played out. So yeah, it was you know, I mean, because this is one of the ones that's completely missing, so based on what I heard, I thought it was quite good. So, but like the Macra Terror, and then we have the Faceless Ones, which is Ben and Polly's final story. I quite enjoyed this one. Like, I thought, you know, with the travel and the most of it taking place in the airport. Yeah, and also Samantha Briggs, I thought she was quite a good character, and, you know, it's almost a shame she never actually went on to become a full-time companion, because I think that would have been quite interesting, because I did like her interactions with Jamie's, but you know, I thought this was quite good, and yeah, so yeah, that's the Faceless Ones. And then to finish, this was the end of the Second Doctor's first season, and it was The Evil of the Daleks. And yeah, this was definitely one of the favourites that I listened to. It introduces the character Victoria, and yeah, I quite liked it. So yeah, like with the whole the trap that the Daleks set for the Doctor, and then to try and get him to help them to figure out why exactly they keep losing, but yeah, I did think this was quite a good story, especially, you know, like for featuring the Daleks. So and I believe this was the last time the Daleks would appear until the Third Doctor story. So because I know the Second Doctor's stories, his first season, because you have Power of the Daleks, and then you end it with Evil of the Daleks, and then I don't think they appeared again until Day of the Daleks, I believe. But I'll obviously talk about that when I get to that in my reviews. So, but yeah, Evil of the Daleks. And then we get to The Tomb of the Cybermen, which, you know, it's a classic. It's one of those stories that people thought was actually lost, and then it was found again. So, yeah, I always like this one, because I've mentioned it before, but the black and white Cybermen terrify me. I just don't know what it is about them, because, you know, obviously, well, the colour versions I'm fine, but black and white just has that extra creepiness. But, and, you know, this is, you know, obviously based on the Siege story, which I actually thought worked quite well. And yeah, I do like this one. So it's Tomb of the, oh, and the other, before I forget, I also really like, I think what sort of makes this story is the Doctor and Victoria's discussion about families. I think that's quite poignant, I think that's the word. Like where she's talking about missing her father, and then she asks the Doctor whether he misses his family. And because at that point she finds out that he's 450 years old. So yeah, I quite like the Doctor and Victoria's interactions in the story. So yeah, Tomb of the Cybermen. And then we get to the Abominable Snowman. Again, I thought this introduces the Yeti, and I think, and the character Edward Travers. Yeah, I like this one again. It's sort of, you got that real feel like with the isolation, because it's set in Tibet, and yeah, like with the Himalayas and all of that. So yeah, I think that whole, like, you know, there's something up at moving in the mountains type thing, I did quite enjoy that aspect of the story. So yeah, the Abominable Snowman. And then we get to the Ice Warriors, which of course introduces the Ice Warriors. And the reason I've got the soundtrack to this is because obviously the DVD is being came out this week, I believe it was. So, but it obviously I didn't want to wait for it, so I just listened to the soundtrack. And yeah, I really again really like this one. So I'm looking forward to actually being able to watch the DVD when that arrives. So so yeah. It's the Ice Warriors. And then we get to the Enemy of the World, which again I think is another favourite, because this time like a doppelganger story. The Doctor has an evil counterpart in the form of a salamander who's like this world dictator. And yeah, I just really like this one. It's because I think now that, you know, I've actually listened to the story, and because I'd only previously seen episode 3, which exists, and but I think because I like this, one of the reasons I, you know, like the story is because it has one of the greatest one-off characters, I think, pretty much in the show's history, and that is the character of the chef, who is such a pessimist, and just the disparaging remarks he makes, you know, like he talks about, like, there's this sound of shooting in his leg. Oh, I know the food's terrible, but you don't need to go that far. And then it's like, oh, maybe I'll get the sack, or like oh, maybe they'll execute me. And it's like, no, the firing squad will miss. It's sort of just quips like that. And yeah, he's just such a great character. And because Jamie and Victoria infiltrate Salamander's headquarters, and yeah, it's just quite, you know, quite an interesting story. So and yeah, one I quite enjoyed. So Enemy of the World. So yeah, yeah, that's, and then we get the sequel to The Abominable Snowman and The Web of Fear, which is notable for another reason, and that it introduces, well, at this point he's Colonel Lethbridge Stewart, and yeah, he just sort of like randomly, because I think it's episode 3, he sort of comes in, and then it's like he just sort of tags along to the to go along with the Doctor, so you don't really have a proper on-screen introduction between the two characters, which I find quite interesting. And yeah, so I know this is a lot of people's favourites, and I can definitely see why, because there's always, obviously with missing episodes being found, but I think one of the latest rumours is that that they've actually found Marco Polo, Enemy of the World, and The Web of Fear, which I would be perfectly okay with, to be honest, because Marco Polo has become one of my favourite stories, and also, as I mentioned, I really enjoyed Enemy of the World, and yeah, so hopefully that rumour has some truth to it, which probably isn't, but you always live in hope that maybe one day they'll find another like missing episode, just like but yeah, so that was The Web of Fear, and then we have I am missing one of my oh no, I'm right. I thought I was missing one of them, but then it's Fury from the Deep, which is Victoria's final story. And again, this was another good one. It's basically, they're in a gas refinery, I think it is. And it's basically, there's something that's attacking them, but they don't know where, and there's claustrophobia, stress levels are becoming more prominent, and yes, this one was quite a good one, and it's also quite a bittersweet departure for Victoria, because by this point she's just growing tired of always being in dangerous situations, and she wants to leave, but at the same time, while she wants to settle down, she doesn't want to leave Jamie and the Doctor, and because I think that's sort of why when it does come to her farewell scene, that's why Jamie's sort of taken aback, because I believe they actually do say that he was quite, because Jamie's quite fond of Victoria, and I think that's sort of what makes the final line in the story, because I think it was hinted at that he actually did have, feelings towards her, but he never told her how he felt. And then right at the end of the story, when the Doctor asks, where do you want to go? And Jamie's like, who cares? And the Doctor goes, I was fond of her too. Like, that's sort of the last line of the story. And I think, I think it's one of the, one of the, obviously, all the companion departures, affect the Doctor and that, but I think this is one of the more prominent ones where you do notice, how he reacts. I don't think he really reacted that much when, Ben and Polly left, and, so I think it's sort of like a contrast, he sort of just, Ben and Polly, they say their goodbyes and they leave, and then, Victoria spends, pretty much the entire episodes dropping hints that she's really tired of this, and she just wants to have a place to she can call home, and and also because the farewell on the beach type thing, it's quite sad. So so I think this would be another one that if they ever found it, I would be quite, I would really like to actually see this in episode form. So it's Fury from the Deep. And then we get in the last episode of season 5 is The Wheel in Space. and this introduces Zoe, and it's another Cybermen story. Not my favourite Cybermen story, but and not really a favourite story in general, but you know, I do like it for the introduction of Zoe. I think she was quite, you know, obviously quite a contrast to Victoria. And yeah, so that's really most of... Oh, and also I believe this story was the first time that the Doctor called himself, or like he was introduced as John Smith, because I believe that was Jamie, because I think he saw it on a piece of luggage or equipment that was the property of John Smith, and so he just sort of coined the name for the Doctor, and it sort of, I guess, stuck, so... But yeah, so that was the Will in Space, and then we get into the finals, the second Doctor's final season, and we actually have most of this season is complete, so it made a change from having to listen to the soundtrack. So the first one is, which unfortunately wasn't such a great story, and The Dominators. Yeah, I had to watch this over a couple of nights because, well, I think part of the reason was because I was, at that time, I was quite buggered and I couldn't focus, and I think just because the story was, but I think I just did not have the energy to go through the story, which I think could have easily been made into four parts. It didn't need 5. Yeah, it's just... I mean, the Quarks were quite interesting as villains, but, yeah, the other, just, I didn't really care for the, like, the Dominators, all that, and, yeah, it's not a favourite at all. But the Mind Robber, on the other hand, I quite enjoyed. I also know this is, because one episode, that Fraser Hines couldn't play Jamie, so they recast him for one episode, and I thought they did that in quite a creative way, with the whole having to reassemble the face thing, and then it was sort of like, that's not Jamie, and then yeah, and you also have a character called the Master, who is not the Master, and you have it's just, you know, with all the different stories, and I loved where they're doing the battle of the stories and the sort of like change, you know, you got a character from the Three Musketeers, and you know, you swap it out with pirates, and yeah, just like with the whole fantasy aspect, I really dug that. So yeah, the Mind Robber was definitely one of the better stories in the final season, so or like for season 6, that's Mind Robber. Then we get to The Invasion, which is an 8-part story, and yeah, again, this is, I think, one of my favourites Cybermen stories. And I thought Tobias Vaughan, he was quite an interesting character, and of course you have, like, I like Tobias Vaughan as the villain. Of course you have the return of the Brigadier, who is now a Brigadier, and I also believe this is... This introduces the character of Benton, I believe, but yeah, it's you know, I quite like this, even though I found it interesting because, I mean, I'm guessing it had more to do with their budget than anything else, but they sort of reference, say, oh yes, we're going to go rescue this person, and there's going to be all this fighting, and then the next thing it just cuts to them having already got, like, they've gone out and rescued the thing. So yes, so I thought that was quite interesting that you know, they always, like, never actually showed, like, I mean, they showed a couple of, you know, fighting and explosions, but they're really like some of the main ones they didn't actually show, so I thought that was quite interesting. But yeah, the invasion. And then we get to the Cretons, which I hadn't actually seen before. This was, I think the DVD came out last year, but because I know a lot of people don't really care for this, but I actually didn't mind it. Like, you have the whole Zoe and the Doctor sort of trying to compete, like in a battle of the wits kind of thing, and like that whole, like when Zoe accesses the computer and then the Doctor's like really furious, and then he's trying to do it, and then he's like, oh, go away, let me do this, and then she leaves. It's like, no, wait, show me how to do this. And yeah, so I thought this had quite a few, good good moments in this one. So, but yeah, so that was the Cretons. And then got the Seas of Death, which brings back the Ice Warriors. It was okay. I think I prefer the original Ice Warriors story, but yeah, I think sometimes it dragged out a little bit, but on the whole, it's not by any means a bad story, but yeah, for what it was pretty good. So Seas of Death. And then we have the Space Pirates, which is the final missing episode. But to be honest, I didn't really care for this story. Again, it didn't need to be 6 episodes. I think it could have been cut, like at least cut by 1 episode, so maybe a 5-part. Yeah. Again, it is what it is, so Space Pirates. And then we get to the final second Doctor story. It's the 10-part epic, The War Games. I think when I first watched this, I didn't really... I didn't think it was bad, but then I think because... I don't know, there's just something about it that didn't make me say, everyone's saying how great the story was, and then I was like, well, I don't think it's that great. But then now that I've rewatched it, and then I was sort of like, actually, I can sort of see why everyone loves this story. And, yeah, it's quite, fascinating. Like, they think they're in the middle of this war, but it's not really what they think it is. And, this one doesn't, now that I've rewatched it, it doesn't seem to, I think, to drag as much as I think maybe I thought it was a bit too long before, but now that I rewatch, I think on rewatch I think I did appreciate this one a lot more. And and also introduces Gallifrey for the, well, even though Gallifrey's not named, but you sort of see the Doctor's home planet, or at least the inside of it, and you've got other Time Lords as well. And yeah, it's just because one of the reasons, but because this is also like, the departure of Jamie and Zoe, and their departure in this is one of the reasons I hate, like, Donna's departure made me, not angry, but it's just sort of like, you saw what the Time Lords did to Jamie and Victoria, Zoe, why would you do that to Donna? So, but yeah, but this, it is a really good story. I loved Lady Jennifer and whoever this other soldier guy was, I can't think of his name, but yes, I do think it was, for his final story, he went out with the Ben, like Patrick Troughton went out with the Ben, so, and, the fact that all 10 episodes, like, actually survived, so, yeah, so that's the War Games. And now we move into the third Doctor stories, and I've got 2 here. After I finish filming this, I will be watching the next one and that. So Spearhead from Space. I've always enjoyed this one. I think it's one of the better introductions for the Doctor, and yeah, I just, you know, it has I feel, you know, it has some fun moments, like the whole hospital's like scene, and yeah, it's just, I just like this. I can't really quite quite describe it, but yeah, it's Spearhead from Space, and then we have And the Silurians. Again, this was another one that when I first watched it, I didn't really care for, or like, I didn't like it as much, and then now that I've rewatched it, I think it's actually better than what I remember it being. And but like, you have, because this has one of the bleakest endings in the show's run, and yeah, it's sort of like, in a way, you know, the Doctor doesn't save the day. It's yeah, it's just sort of, yeah, really dark, and like, because I mean, this one introduces the Silurians, because I should have mentioned also, this one introduces the Autons, so that was that one, and this one, yeah, so because you sort of, because this one you start off with like a mystery of why there's these power failures, and then you sort of get to like, you know, there's, you know, this whole other species that are living beneath us, and you know, they're starting to awaken, and you think, well, maybe we can actually work together, and then, you know, yeah, I think, because, you know, the whole like the political side of this I thought was quite interesting, like but the one thing I did like in this, when there was actually a Sherlock Holmes reference in this story, which I didn't remember before, and the Brigadier basically goes, "Come along, Watson," to the Doctor, so I thought that was quite funny in that sense, but yeah, it's actually, yeah, I mean, not a favourite or anything, but I do think it was a lot better than what I remembered it, so that one is Doctor Who and the Silurians, and that brings me to the end of this, the reviews for this month. So now that, again, as I mentioned, now that I'm into the Third Doctor stories, most of my reviews are probably going to be Doctor Who based. I will try to watch other things, but I really want to get this marathon finished by the 50th anniversary, so I've got a couple of months to try and get all the classics, the rest of the classic Who watched, and, you know, the new Who and Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures watched, so I'll be quite busy for the next few months, but I've at least made it past the Second Doctor's, because I've tried this marathon once before. I didn't even get out of the First Doctor stories, but I've watched everything, I've listened to everything, and yeah, now I'm finally reached the Third Doctor, so I guess I'm just going to stop it here, where I keep rambling, and yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and until my next video, I will see you guys next time. Bye!